I believe so. And listen, you can look at New Orleans and easily make the argument that New Orleans is the team to beat, but I just don't know that Taysom can be the guy if we don't see a healthy Drew Brees for the rest of this season. So while it looks nice and it's pretty right now, I look at Green Bay and I see a team that is surging. This last game that I watched them play, I saw a whole lot of attitude, a big chip on their shoulders, and the way they are competing, to me, makes me feel as though the talent that is showing with this Green Bay Packers team and them trending upward in how they're playing with one of the more exciting running backs in Aaron Jones, as I mentioned in the last segment. You got Devontae on the outside. You're seeing some true balance, and you're seeing this defense also tend to kind of close the gap and playing a little bit better as well. I think today they are the best team in the NFC, the team to beat.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it's the Packers, yes, but you can make an easy argument for the Saints. You know why you can make an easy argument? Because it should be the Saints. I know the Saints lost to them. I understand they lost to them before. But if you look at the team right now and how they're playing and how they play complementary, balanced football, I will have to say it's going to be the New Orleans Saints. Think about it. Drew Brees was hurt last year. Came back and was healthy. Didn't look so good in that playoff game, but still a healthy Drew Brees returned to form. I expect the same this year. And was he going to return to? Oh, a Saints team that is #1 in total defense. Oh, you got to love that. And it's top 5 in scoring, offense, and defense. That's the only team in the NFL that can say that they have that accolade. So when you look at it now, this is a complete team that all it needs is his future Hall of Fame quarterback to return to the mix. That's why I think that they're the favorites. You got to remember about these two teams, Packers and Saints, more than likely is going to be the #1 seed. The Bucs out of the #1 seed conversation, all things considered. But the Packers in the playoffs. I keep bringing up this stat because it's amazing. Everyone looks at Aaron Rodgers and sees his greatness and says, why only one Super Bowl championship? Well, Aaron Rodgers in his playoff losses, his defense has given up an average of 36 points a game. Average. So if we saw happen last year, they played San Francisco last game. What was that score? 37 points and another playoff loss for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. They have to fix their postseason woes, specifically on the defensive side. Not sure if they fixed that just yet. I'm looking at the more complete team, the easy team to make an argument for. It's the Saints.
No. Go, Pack, go.
Oh.
This is all about the Green Bay Packers. They're the team that is they are ready to go to the Super Bowl. And because here's the thing, Marcellus, a lot of what determines who makes the Super Bowl comes down to matchups. And the biggest Achilles heel that plagues the Green Bay Packers, their run defense. Well, guess what? There's not a dominant run team in the NFC. When I look at the teams that could be in the tournament, the Minnesota Vikings might sneak in, but they're not going to be there really. The San Francisco 49ers, who are really a thorn in the Packers' side, they're not going to be there. So now when I look at the Packers' road to the Super Bowl, they're on easy street. The only team that they could possibly face that is really a dominant run team, the New Orleans Saints. But guess what? They've already dismissed them. They dismissed them on the road. So to think that the Saints are going to come to Lambeau and win, it's not going to happen. This may not be the best team in the NFC, but this is the team that is going to represent the NFC because they won't face the type of teams that traditionally give them problems. And oh, by the way, the MVP candidate, Aaron Rodgers, he can put them on their back if they get in trouble.
It's tough to put a team on your back when you know you walk out of the locker room. You know how that sound with all the cleats on the concrete. Then it gets to the turf, it gets silent. Everybody knows it's the moment of truth. Ball's going to get kicked off. And Aaron Rodgers looked at the scoreboard, and it says 4 quarters of football, 15 minutes each quarter. Oh, by the way, their scoreboard already has 36 points up on it because your defense, I'm not even saying what happened last time. I'm saying every time Aaron Rodgers finds himself in a losing effort in a ball game, the defense is giving up at least 36 points. That's going to be tough sledding. And you just wanted to plow through the fact that New Orleans is 7th ranked in their rushing attack. You said only New Orleans. You said it, and you said it as an afterthought. But that's going to be their priority, to run the football, to test Green Bay on the defensive side. Let's shorten the game. Let's shorten the field. Let's make sure Aaron Rodgers has to watch and get frustrated. And we know Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, he's going to wear his emotions on his sleeve, especially if he finds himself in another dire circumstance, because the defense can't stop the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans has had some highs that we haven't seen from any other team, and they've had them in plenty. We've seen them go against the Bucs twice. We're not even mentioning the Bucs right now in this conversation, in part because the Saints deaded that conversation. But the Packers do have the leg up on the Saints, for all things are equal, in that tiebreaker scenario, because they beat them earlier in the season. But as you know, those early season wins don't necessarily manifest the same as it comes postseason time.
You know, and I think it's a great argument that you make. But again, when I look at where this New Orleans Saints team is, and right now, their games remaining, I think the Falcons is a tough game for them to play against. The Falcons is one of those teams that they're much better than what people may think that they are, and very capable of beating the New Orleans Saints. Then you have the Chiefs. If Dalvin Cook is healthy, the Vikings are a dangerous team to play against. And then they end with the Panthers. This could very easily be a slide situation where 2 or 3 games get away from this New Orleans Saints team and turns the conversation to a very different conversation that we're having about this New Orleans Saints team. While I look at the Green Bay Packers, they have the Eagles, the Lions. The Panthers is a decent game, but then you have their toughest game left is really the Tennessee Titans. And then you have the Bears, which is a rivalry game, but a very winnable game for this Green Bay Packers team. So I look at Green Bay being situated schedule-wise with the ability to be able to finish out strong. And we all know creating that momentum at the end of the season, going into the playoff hunt, is the best time for a team to be playing their best football. I don't think that the schedule lines up well for the New Orleans Saints to maintain being the hottest team in the NFC, especially without having a healthy Drew Brees. And believe you me, coming back from the injury that he has to come back from this year is much different than the one he had to come back from last year.
Well, yeah, look, that's a great point, LeVar. And, you know, Marcellus brought up the point that they're the 7th-ranked rushing offense. A lot of that is because they're playing the single wing with Taysom Hill. They basically have Tim Tebow at quarterback, so they can't throw it. They're just running it all the time.
True.
Now, that may be the most effective way for them to beat the Green Bay Packers, but do we really believe that Taysom Hill is going to throw enough passes to be able to really lead this team? It has worked the first 2 games that he's been in there, partially because they played the Denver Broncos, who had me at quarterback. And then they played another game, and he was hot, and no one knew what Taysom Hill was going to do. But when Drew Brees comes back, they didn't have to hand it to the veteran, and the running game is not the running game that we've seen the last couple of weeks. So everything that the New Orleans Saints do, when they do it with Drew Brees, it doesn't work against the Green Bay Packers in terms of really attacking their weaknesses. So if they're going to play Taysom Hill, that gives them the best chance. But do we really believe that Sean Payton is going to play Taysom Hill when he has a healthy Drew Brees available? I don't think so. And regardless of it, we have seen the Green Bay Packers smack them around. I expect them to do it again.
Yeah, well, I don't expect all that. That was a little strong at the end. I was liking where you were going, giving us a good argument, and then you stamped it with like, oh, it's going to happen again. Not so sure about this because there's still 30% roughly percent of the season left in terms of games played. A lot can change, but let's figure out who has home field advantage or who has to go on the road. I don't even know if the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers want to stay at home because they're so used to traveling on the road in the postseason. 2/3 of Aaron Rodgers' career playoff games have been on the road or at neutral sites. Not even comfortable at Lambeau because he's not much. He's not at Lambeau that often when it comes to the postseason, and he's the only NFL quarterback ever to